Hey, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be doing my May TBR. I'm not doing any sort of fun game this month to pick my TBR, but I do have very kind of specific reads that I want to read during May. That's why I'm not having something else pick my reads, just because I have an idea of what I want to read. So we're going to do it a little differently this month. I do have 8 books picked out. I'm just going to be talking about them. So with that being said, we'll just get right into it. The first 3 that I have, I'm going to for sure read because I plan on doing a video for these ones. I want to do a reading vlog on releases that came out in April that are pretty hyped up. First one is Funny Story by Emily Henry. We follow our main character Daphne, and she was engaged to this dude named Peter, but Peter fell in love with his childhood best friend, and now they obviously broke off the engagement. Daphne is rooming with this new guy. His ex is actually the dude or the girl. Okay, this is so every time I try to talk about this book, it just gets confusing. I know the concept, but it's so hard to say. So Daphne's new roommate, his ex is the girl that her ex-fiance is now with. So they all have connections, very crazy, and I think this is going to be a very fun whirlwind of an adventure. Next we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This one just came out in the middle of April, I believe. This one follows Emma and Justin. They kind of have this little curse thing where when they date somebody, that person goes on to find their soulmate after they break up. And one of them posted on a Reddit thread and said, hey, this always happens to me. Does this happen to anyone else? It's kind of weird. I'm getting sick of it. And then the other responds and says, hey, I'm dealing with the same thing. It is weird. Like, let's try to break this curse. See if we date, if after we break up, we can go on to find our soulmates. And yeah, crazy stuff. This is just them trying to break their curse and seeing who they can fall in love with. Next up I have Wild Love. This is going to be the last one I'm reading for this video that I'm doing. Love Elsie Silver. This is her first book in the Rose Hill series. I believe this is going to consist of 4 books, but this one came out at the beginning of April and I am just so excited to get into another Elsie Silver world. It is decently connected to her other series. We're following Ford, who is the brother of Willa, and she was the main character in the second book of the Chestnut Spring series, and I loved her. She was my favorite in that whole entire world. So I'm excited to get another one of her family members. Hopefully I will love him just the same. Ford owns a recording studio in this small town called Rose Hill, doing very well. I think he's very good at what he does. And then we have Rosie, who left, just like any small town thing. She left, she's back now. I also believe this is brother's best friend. I love the characters that Elsie Silver writes, and you can easily just get attached to them. They're like those comfort people. Like, you know how sometimes you meet people, well, especially like I'm a very shy person, and I know that when I meet certain people, sometimes I'm just instantly comfortable around them. I feel fine talking to them. I don't feel any sort of awkwardness, and I feel like Elsie Silver's characters are all that. I think I should just walk into a room of them and feel safe, and I think that's very rare in today's world, but I just love her characters. I love her worlds. I love her writing. I cannot wait to get into another world by her, and I hope I love this. Now we have Unravel the Dusk by Elizabeth Lim. This is one I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to pick up in May, but I would like to get to this just because this is a completion of a duology. I read Spin the Dawn in this month. Okay, it's April right now. I don't know time. I really don't. So I read Spin the Dawn, which is the first book, in April, which is this current month. Obviously, it's a duology. I feel like I need to just read the second book and finish it out. Love the ending of Spin the Dawn. It made me want to read the second book immediately, but I was doing that for a video, so I couldn't necessarily pick this one up right after I finished that one. But after reading that one and having a little bit of time pass, a couple weeks, I don't necessarily know if I'm as eager to pick this up as I was as soon as I finished that book, but I still, of course, would love to finish this, and it's pretty short, I think, so these are very fast reads. I love this author. She's one of my new favorite authors. We'll see the conclusion in this world if I get to this, but this is just about kind of like a Mulan retelling in a very small sort. We have our main character Maya, and she is a very good tailor, very good seamstress. So she's living in this world where only men are supposed to be tailors. If a woman does it, it's very frowned upon. It's not good. But we get the Mulan aspect where her father is ill and he was supposed to go to this kingdom to compete in these trials to become the imperial tailor, but he cannot go, so she disguises as a guy and goes to the kingdom herself and does this whole tailoring process and these trials on her own. It's very interesting, and it also led to this adventure after the whole trial process in the first book. I love the worlds that this author writes too. I think they're very magical, very whimsical magic, and they're just for fun adventure. It is a young adult fantasy. If you're not into young adult, if you are older, it might not be for you, but I truly recommend any books by this author. I think they're great. I could read her books constantly. I love them. And then also continuing a series, I have In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is the second book in the Lovelight series. This is the spring book in this 4-book series. I read Lovelight Farms in December. I feel like I have to read this in May because June getting into June. I feel like that's just when summertime starts, so I definitely don't want to push this off any longer. This one follows Evelyn and Beckett. Evelyn is a social media influencer, and Beckett worked on Love Light Farms, which is the farm in the first book. Loved his character. I'm very excited to get more of him. Evelyn, I wasn't too keen on. She did a lot of things and made some decisions where it was a lot of miscommunication, and I hate that. I wanted a lot more from her in the book, so wasn't a huge fan of her. I'm hoping this book redeems her for me. Beckett was very fun. I really liked him and his personality, and I think he will carry this story, honestly. But they had a connection in the past. Now they're kind of re-meeting. They re-met in the first book, and we're following their timeline after that situation happened. We're just following their connection and seeing if it works out. And then if you watched my 5-star... what was it called? My 5-star... girl, what was it called? What is that word? Literally, what is it? Predictions. Okay. If you watch my 5-star prediction video, you know, I read Powerless. I love that book. Listen, that gave me so many feels. If you want to know my thoughts on that book, go watch that video, or my May wrap-up coming up. I will talk about it. Not my May wrap-up, my April wrap-up. I will talk about it briefly, but I have a lot of in-depth thoughts if you watch that video. And normally, I'm not big on novellas. Obviously, I have a novella right here. This is Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This comes after Powerless, and I don't know, I'm not one to normally pick up novellas. I don't really read series actually that has a ton of novellas in them, but this one I knew that I had to have after I finished Powerless. This one follows Adina, who is Peyton's best friend. Peyton was a main character in Powerless, and I really truly loved every character in that book, so I have a connection with all of them. I really would like to get to know more about them. In the first book, Peyton had to go through these trials. She was away at the kingdom, and Adina was back in their home fending for herself. We're going through this book, seeing what she did, why she was by herself while Peyton was away. And I'm really nervous for this one because if you read Powerless, you know what happens, but I don't know. I really just truly love these characters in this world, and I'm very excited to read Adina's story. This is quite the tiny book, but I love it. These covers are so beautiful too. Beauty all around. Truly. Alright, and then next up, I just want to get done with the ACOTAR series. I will say that I'm not the biggest fan of it. I really like the first 2 books. I'm not one of those people in the majority that love ACOTAR. It's not a bad series. I really don't hate it at all, but I'm also not the biggest fan. I do have 2 books left. I am doing a whole video series on reading ACOTAR. I have spoiler reading vlogs for all of them, full spoilers. If you have read that series and you're interested in watching those and getting all my thoughts as I read throughout these books, it's on my channel. I'll maybe have it linked in the description if I remember. Can't promise you that. But I just finished ACOWAR this month, actually. Next up, I have A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is a novella, so we're getting into another novella. I think this is just a whole bunch of different point of views, which I'm pretty excited about. I think this will just be a laid back book about all of our characters. I do like the characters in this series, just not entirely too fond of the font, I guess. The font. What? The plot. How did I get font from plot? Literally, why does my brain do that? Anyway, I'm not too fond of the plot in this series. I don't want to say too much about these if you haven't read this series so far, because I think if I talk about what's going on in this one, I may spoil it, so I'm not going to do that. I will just say that this is following a whole bunch of our characters' point of views as we go along a certain situation that they are kind of working through, dealing with the aftermath. It is just a little over 200 pages. It'll be just a nice, quick, easy read. And then lastly, I have A Court of Silver Flames, just because I want to finish off this series for now as of what it is. I know there's more books coming out, no idea when that's happening. This one I don't know if I'm going to get to. I may read other books instead, just because I have to film a video on this one too, and I don't know if I would like to do that in May. If I do, you'll see. But yeah, this is A Court of Silver Flames. I believe that this is told in a different character's point of view. I know this flips to third person instead of first person, which I honestly love third person. I don't know why so many people hate on third person, but I truly do not mind it at all. I'm curious to see how that's gonna go. I'm pretty sure the focus is more turned on a certain character in this one and not Feyre. So very interested to see how that goes. I've grown to like this character, especially in Wings and Ruin. Hopefully maybe this will be my favorite book. I don't know. We shall see. And those are the books that I want to read in May. And this was pretty short video, but very brief. I just wanted to mention the books that I plan on getting to in May, just so you have kind of an idea. If you're interested in any of the videos that I may record in May, reading some of these, feel free to stick around. My mood changes a lot. I'm very much a mood reader, which is also kind of why I didn't want to do a TBR game type thing for this month, just because I wanted to completely mood read, and I didn't want to feel bad about not finishing my TBR that I had picked out. I also haven't been reading as much as normal. I've kind of been just chilling, reading when I want to read, not reading because I feel like I have to. I know I have 8 books here. I don't know how many I will actually get through in May. That is it. Let me know what book you are wanting to read in May. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought about them, and I will see you in my next video, whatever that may be. I will see you guys later. Bye.